Thank you for joining us for Weekdays Live with Reverend Al Sharpton. Take the time to share this broadcast right now. Tell your friends it's time to keep it real with Reverend Al. Comment your questions now in the chat or call Reverend Al Sharpton directly on air at 877-532-5797. Now stay tuned for Reverend Al.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton. As you watch the broadcast, support National Action Network. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net and be involved. You can join, take your membership right online, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Getting ready to start the program, but we need you to be part of the movement.
It's simple.
Shall we rise? 62 years ago today, Martin marched in Washington. 62 years later, the dream is not dead.
I'm here because I must be here. Democracy is not there for the picking. You have to fight for democracy. That's what it is. What Trump will erase, we will replace.
Is the dreamers in many cases have reversed and tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street.
It's been a long time coming, but I know
1968, Dr. Martin Luther King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of National Action Network to always, in the month he was killed, to let them know they killed the dreamer.
I have a dream today.
They can't kill the dreamer.
This organization has been on the front line. People ask me, why do families call us? Because we never leave them.
It's Wednesday, April 22nd.
Thank you for
Do
joining us for
you
Weekdays
know
Live with Reverend Al
what
Sharpton.
time
Take the time to share
it
this
is?
broadcast right now. Tell your friends it's time.
It's
to keep it real with
Al
Reverend
Sharpton's time. And for these next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretenses,
deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. A very good afternoon to you all across the country. And good morning to our West Coast listeners. Welcome to all those listening on Sirius XM, Channel 126, The Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. I'm coming to you live from our National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York. And for the next 3 hours, you can join the conversation. All you have to do is call us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or go on the message board and send me a message at nationalactionnetwork.net. Like Demetrius Jones is on the board already saying, good afternoon, Reverend Al. We as Black Americans must fight like we've never fought before. We are under demonic attack from the enemy. We must also pray. God bless. I agree with that. The Mayor Rodney Jones, Republicans clutching their pearls, quote, with a Democrat redistricting in Virginia. One move on the chessboard, plenty more moves coming before the 2026 midterms. I'm ecstatic. And yeah, let me stop right there with the mayor because I think Rodney Jones is right. Let's start this on a positive day, a positive note, I should say, today. The fact that the yes vote won in Virginia and the fact that it was huge turnout from Democrats and from blacks, Democrat and Republican, and defeated what Trump and them tried to do in terms of what they did in Texas, change the district lines. So the Democrats then said, fine, y'all want to do that? We'll change them in Virginia. And they changed them and won and have the possibility now of adding 4 congressional seats, which the Democrats may win and take the House if all things remain the way it is now. I think it was a resounding victory. I think those in the state that campaigned against, it was a lot of money spent on both sides. They even had mailings and social media and lies going to people's inbox that a vote yes is to help the Klan, which would not, people didn't go for it. So this is a big victory. We talk a lot about when things go bad. I like sometimes to open up when things work. And people know we're not just fighting in vain. You know, some people are just addicted to losing. They're going to snatch a loss out of the jaws of defeat, out of the jaws of victory, rather. They just going to find a way. No, we lost. And I guess we've gone through so much, it's understandable. But it's not excusable. Don't let them give you a loser's complex. Don't let them do that. Because then you adjust to losing and you look forward to losing. And Virginia showed us something that is good. Just like a guy said to me the other day, Remal, I just don't know why our people can't get together. I said, wait a minute. We just had a convention with over 11,000 people coming over 4 days and all kind of panels, all kind of top professors, lawyers, Ben Crump, elected officials and all. What do you mean why we can't come together? We do come together. You just didn't show up. So let's stop putting ourselves down, challenging ourselves, yes, where we are down, but also commending and encouraging us where we right. I mean, nobody, you wouldn't want to hear from your husband or wife only what you do bad. At least want to give me credit for something. And let's fight the enemy, not each other. Now, we see that there's an interesting case that they did yesterday where the FBI now is charging the Southern Poverty Law Center with defrauding donors by paying extremist informants. The federal charges filed that the Southern Poverty Law Center has been indicted on bank fraud, wire fraud, and money laundering conspiracy charges with the Justice Department alleging it misled donors while operating an informant program targeting extremist groups. Co-allegation versus the defense. Prosecutors claimed $3 million from 2014 to 2023 were paid to individuals tied to groups like the KKK, accusing the Southern Poverty Law Center of funding the very extremism it opposes. However, Southern Poverty Law Center leadership argues the program was designed to infiltrate dangerous organizations, prevent violence, and share intelligence with law enforcement. Now, the thing that you had to know about this is they were working with the FBI with some of the information they would get that there was going to be an attack on this, an attack on that, and they were using some of the informants they had planted in the Klan and other places. Now, all of a sudden, they are being indicted, saying you didn't tell your contributors that you were hiring people that gave information. Something about that don't smell right to me. If they're an anti-hate organization, and if they are against violence, if it was their decision that they were going to pay for some of the people that could give them inside information to deal with the haters and the violent haters, how is that outside the purview of your donors? Oh, you're supposed to put on all your literature and we hire informants from the Klan? Is that what they're saying? Or are they targeting anti-hate groups, anti-white supremacist groups? Let's talk about that. They going after everybody, and they've gone after me, so maybe I'm a little sensitive to it. Or maybe I'm not. We see now that the president, after he huffed and he puffed and said, I'm going to blow your house down, extended the ceasefire last night, saying that they're coming to the table and we are going to continue the ceasefire, even though some of the ships were fired upon. And we see that Robert Kennedy Jr. Is under fire with his measles response, praised by the GOP and criticized by the Democrats, amid controversial remarks on black children. And let me just say it clearly. Lawmakers revisited Kennedy's controversial remarks suggesting black children on psychiatric medications may need to be, quote, reparented, drawing a sharp criticism and raising concerns about racial bias. Reparented. That brings us back to slavery, where they just assign you new parents. Lot to talk about today, and I'm opening up the phone to everybody. 1-877-532-5797, and it's Wake Up Wednesday. Let's do it that way today. Wake up. I ain't saying woke. That means something, things to different people. Wake Up Wednesday. And I want you to call in. You can talk about the Virginia vote. You can talk about, I see Paul I'm trying to get the name right. Paul McCullough says, hey, Virginia, all right. Or is it Pauline McCullough? Yes, Pauline McCullough saying, hey, Virginia. All right, Pauline, I'm with you celebrating that. That's a big one. Let's get ready to take a break, and we'll be right back. We'll load up the phones. More of you on the message board. There's a lot to talk about today. Wake Up Wednesday. You should have woke up with some energy seeing what Virginia did, knowing that that's the first vote on a long several months to the midterms, and we can turn this whole thing around. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, and we are taking your calls and your messages on the message board right after this. Robert Culp used to do a show with Bill Cosby, I Spy, and he did a documentary on breadbasket, Robert Culp.
Oh, wow.
You need to see that documentary. It's great.
Absolutely.
I lived this. I didn't read this. I was there.
You true to this?
I'm true to this.
Not new to this.
I ain't new to this.
Vote to phone Troy.
He was, Jack O'Dell was one of the guys that Kennedy warned Dr. King about. Say he was a communist.
Wow.
Jack O'Dell and Stanley Levinson. And Reverend brought him in. Nobody else in the movie would deal with Jack. Reverend brought him in.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Just us.
Just us.
But there's stories behind all of it. It didn't just happen.
But I am somebody. I may be on welfare, but I am somebody. I may be in jail, but I am somebody. I may be an educator, but I am somebody. I am black, beautiful, proud. I must be respected. I must be protected. I am somebody.
Come today. I see the Reverend Jesse Jackson is here. Lord, we thank you for the Reverend Jesse Jackson. I see the Honorable Maxine Waters is here. We thank you for Maxine Waters. You see the Reverend Al Sharpton is here. We thank you.
I remember I was 12 years old. I was a boy preacher in the Church of God in Christ. Bishop Sheard knew my bishop, Bishop Washington. Bishop Washington, my mother was concerned I was getting into politics. They brought us to Reverend William Jones. His daughter's traveling with us. And Reverend Jones introduced me to Jesse Jackson. I became his youth director in New York at 13. I liked Reverend Jackson because he was a little hipper than the older preachers. He was 27, I was 13 by the time I became youth director. So he was like a father figure to me. When I got about 40, he said, quit calling me father, call me big brother. We went to the car center, and James Meeks and Jesse Jr. and I had dinner with him that night. And that's where he said to us, Al, Meeks, Jesse Jr., y'all are my disciples. And we said, disciples? And for years we joked each other. I'd come in the room and Junior said, here's disciple number one. But discipleship meant you carried forth the vision. The next day,
he took me on the ferry to Goree Island, Mrs. Jackson. On Goree Island, he showed me where the slave camps were. And I will never forget, he said, "Al, you see what that artifact is?" I said, "What's that?" He said, "They call it the door of no return. When you go through that door, you either made it to America to slavery, or you died in the Atlantic. The door of no return." But I talked to him about 3 years ago, and I reminded him, I said, "Remember when you brought me to the door of no return?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, we did return. We returned the President of the United States, Barack Obama. We returned the Vice President, Kamala Harris. We returned with businessmen. They thought they sent us as slaves. We came back as global liberators. The problem is that too many of us did not join the movements that sponsored us. And there was a breakout in 2024 called Negro Amnesia, where you forgot where you came from and forgot how you got where you got. Therefore, they're trying to take back everything you had.
Reverend Sharpton, good to see you here tonight. By our count at WMUR, you've only been here once in 2003.
You counted wrong.
Okay.
You must be using the Florida Republicans count.
Nevertheless, as far as your visits are concerned, you have been here far less often than your colleagues here who have gone through the paces, met with the voters, done the grassroots style of campaigning that the voters of New Hampshire are expecting and looking for. Why shouldn't those very same voters not think of you as disrespecting them by not coming here and doing the same thing?
Well, I think, first of all, I've been here several times last year and this year. I intend to be here. In fact, I was to preach here Sunday, and the snow stopped me. I intend to be here between now and the primary. And I think that's any more than any of us. There are many places that some of my colleagues have not been to often at all. I think that people go and campaign based on their resources and their availability. So I think that that is not something that they should read into any of us about any particular primary. I also want to address your first question. As a minister, I think that you can have a personal motivation of religion, but you should not try to act like your religion is something that dictates where people ought to go. I pray every day. I can assure you in my talks with God, he is not a registered member of the right wing of the Republican Party.
Today, many of those same challenges still remain that Reverend Al Sharpton stood on the 2004 Democratic primary debate stage and spoke about, a clear reminder that the work is far from over. For over 35 years, the commitment to justice has remained strong. The fight continues, the voice is steady, and the mission moves forward.
Calling. Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. And I think that it is clearly, in my opinion, a day that we need to be talking about Virginia, and we need to be talking about what is not happening in Iran. We need to be continue our conversation on what is plaguing our community in terms of mental health. And let me go to the message board. I saw this guy, I like critics. This one guy, Kim Smith said, my nephew showed me how much he paid in gas yesterday. He paid almost $100 to fill up. That's the cost of what's going on in terms of energy. I see Reverend Al Sharpton, do you suppose to be a president focused on all this? Not that fighting stuff. He lied to the people. No doubt about it. And that's from Jesse Johnson. But I was looking for this critic because I like to, I take a critic a day. The one, no, I don't see where you posted it. All right, well, maybe he got away. I was really going to make a case because sometimes critics say things that a lot of people hear and don't hear the answer. So I try to take one or two critics a day and answer that stuff, not for the critic, because the critic usually is some trawler that had brought up something somebody told them, but for those that may have heard it and never got clarity. But it was somebody writing about National Action Network and how much did, okay, here it is. Joseph Tweety, I hope you're listening. How much debt is the National Action Network in? Previous tax issues, earlier reports indicated that the organization had a significant reoccurring debt, including $1 million in unpaid payroll taxes around 2010. Well, Joseph, I'm glad you're interested in our well-being. I hope that means that you're going to make a contribution, because obviously we could not have bought a $6 million building and got a mortgage that was cleared through a financial institute if we were in any taxes. And 2010 was 16 years ago. And but I'm glad you're concerned about it. Now that we've been tax free, put up to date, and now that we're so solid we can borrow millions and buy a building, I'm sure you will be one of the $500 contributors to the new House of Justice. So tell your sponsors that, or if it was you, I've got that. And then I think he said something about my activism has made me wealthy. My activism has not made me wealthy. Writing 5 books, hosting a radio show for 20 years, and hosting a TV show for 15 years, you're supposed to get paid. That's not out of my activism. My activism got me 90 days in jail, got me this, that, and other. And I get a salary for them, but it certainly don't make me wealthy. Most of my income comes from media shows. And I don't make as much as the guys at Fox, but I do get paid and should get. Any more questions, feel free to put it on the board because I'll answer them. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Oh, wait a minute. Twitty comes back and says, isn't debt alone? Isn't borrowing debt? No. I'm answering your question, Joseph, that if we still had liens and the debt, we couldn't have gotten a mortgage. All right? And if we didn't have financial solids, nobody would have given it to us. So we're going to pay it off. Don't try to change your premise. You got busted. Let's go to the phones. Ira in Washington, D.C. Ira, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Hello, Reverend Al Sharpton. This is Ira from Washington, D.C. I just want to get a quick note with you and let you know that I was going to talk about the Virginia people that did the voting and got everything straight out there, but we're going to bypass that one. But I did have an article I wanted to run by you that had the 4th District Police Department in Washington, D.C. They had a hanging up there. They said it was a black man that was hung, but it wasn't. It was a Latino person that was hung on April the 13th, and they found that out, and it never made the news. And
wait a minute. There was a guy, that was found hung when?
He was found hung in the Washington, D.C. Police Department, on 4th District Police Department on Georgia Avenue in Washington, D.C., and he was, nobody seen or nothing or said nothing and never broadcast it on our local TV channels. And what that boiled down to, like I tell folks, is that Donald Trump's friends has bought 4, 5, 7, and 9, which are local TV channels for D.C., to go along with this, not to tell on the president thing, according to this dictatorship thing that they don't, they run the news and tell the narratives and everything. So this would happen. They did not broadcast that. I ran into a Hispanic guy. He told me that, I didn't know you knew anything about that. I said, yes. He was really upset because he said, I didn't think nobody knew about a hanging of a Hispanic. An 18-year-old Hispanic was hung from a tree next to a police department on 4th and Quackenboss Street, Northwest, Washington, D.C. They found that. So nobody never said anything about that. So I keep telling folks, they own those four TV stations where they can limit the amount of whatever you can say about this person in the White House because that's who they own. And that's what I wanted to report on that particular incident. And it was just really unusual. It's really unusual. So I just try to tell folks that, don't worry about that. You got to know that your news is not true. You go to either Kathy Hughes, Al Sharpton, Don Lemon, and you go to Tavis Smiley and find out most of your proper information if you can. And don't go with this craziness on this local station because they are bought by 47's friends and they're not going to tell you anything. And the last thing I want to say before I get off, this DEI thing, if the president knew that the black man was going to the moon, do you think he would let them go to the moon? That's just something that just I had a funny thought that DEI, they wanted to take everything away, but a black man can't go to the moon. If they knew he was going, they would try to find a way to say, no, we can't go. What do you think about that, Reverend Al?
About people going to the moon, I didn't get the last part of what you said.
Well, it's under the DEI stuff. You know how you try to do DEI, said that certain minority groups can't be qualified for certain things because of the DEI and the inclusion. So how did the black man skip and get to inclusion without them knowing it? He must have known he was a black man to go to the moon. So if it was DEI, he would make sure no black man could go to the moon, as well, let alone do anything important.
Oh, well, I mean, I think that you're saying that because one of the astronauts was black, that was automatically DEI. I think, well, I don't know that Trump directly chose who was going to the moon anyway. going on that flight that passed the moon. They didn't go to the moon, but they went further than any astronauts past the moon. I think that came out of NASA, so I don't think that Trump determined that one way or another. If your point is
that's how we got to the
if your point is that if he had selected him, he wouldn't have selected a black, there's probably grounds for that.
That's true. I appreciate you taking my call this evening, and I'll get back with you tomorrow with some more stuff that I got to talk about.
All right. Thank you for your call. And we need to take a break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton, 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. We'll be right back.
Now I'm down down in Tribeca, right next to the Narrow, but I'll be hood forever. I'm the new Sinatra, and since I made it here, I can make it anywhere. Yeah, they love me everywhere. I used to cop in Harlem, all of my Dominicanos right there up on Broadway. Pulled me back to that McDonald's, took it to my stash spot, 560 State Street. Catch me in the kitchen like a Simmons whipping pastry. Cruising down A Street, off-white Lexus, driving so slow, but BK is from Texas. Me, I'm out that Bed-Stuy, home of that boy Biggie. Now I live on Billboard, and I brought my boys with me. Say what up to Tata, still sipping my top. Sitting courtside, Knicks and Nets give me high five. I be spiked out, I could trip a referee. Tell by my attitude that I most definitely from. Hey.
Don't get it twisted. Everybody hollering loud ain't saying something. We need activists that are at large, but we need those that will continue these institutions and these organizations. If you are what you should be, you don't have to have nobody step aside. People will push you up.
In London, yeah. We've got many problems there. We need you over our side. Yeah, you're invited anytime, please. Whenever you want to come.
There we go.
Guys! What's up, Doc?
So we are in not a political dilemma, we are in a moral dilemma. And if the black church does not come with a prophetic voice, then who's going to do it? We can go through all the data, all the statistics, all we're going through in the workshops, but the question is, where is the...
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Deetta Hobbs wrote on our message board, I grew up in that neighborhood in D.C. OMG, I didn't hear anything about this. What Ira talked about, she's referring to a found a man hanging. I am trying to do a search during the commercials on any of the articles on that. Tanya Stovall says, yes, the caller is right. We did not hear much news about the young man hung in D.C. a few blocks from the police station. Yeah, I think that's right, and I think it is good that we get this information out. That's why we need independent black radio. James Mitchell saying Representative Jeffries warns Florida against redrawing districts. He says to do so would create prime pick-up opportunities for the Democrats. Well, let them do it. we showed in Virginia. Let's keep showing. Don't get so happy that we don't bear down in the states that we're in. And I think that I think it's important. Let's go to Texas to Lloyd. Lloyd, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Good afternoon, Reverend Sharpton. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Good. I wanted to bring you up to speed on something mental health wise and get some advice.
Okay.
So in the state of Texas, a couple of years ago, there was a young white guy went to school and did a mass shooting. The governor came on TV that evening and said, they sugarcoated it with mental health. He had mental health issues, and the governor said we're going to do everything to address this mental health crisis that we have in the state of Texas. My son is a mental health patient, goes to one of the local government clinics. My daughter works in the mental health system with MHMR, who provides assistance to people with mental health and disabilities. The very next day, after the governor said on TV, said they were going to do all they can to address the mental health issue in the state of Texas, 100 mental health clinics was closed across the state.
The very next day?
The very next day, after he sit in front of the cameras and say what he was going to do to address the mental health crisis in the state of Texas, the very next day, 100 clinics across the state will close. My daughter, one of them was the clinic my son would go to get his medication.
Now, would these clinics were state sponsored, city sponsored, federal sponsored, or do you know?
I don't know. I don't know. I know it's the name of it MHMR. So I don't know who funded them, but I think the state funded them because they cut them statewide, 100 of them.
Uh-huh.
And the other thing is, they seem to be willing to spend more money building jails and prisons at the expense of cutting funding to education and to mental health clinics, because education schools don't generate that much money. It costs more money to operate. Clinics don't generate that much money. It costs more money to operate. But apparently jails and prisons generate a lot of money, and the main reason is because they need to have high occupancy. So my son is in a situation right now where they want to let him out. He said he can't take the medicine. It messes with him, so he self-medicate and caught a charge. I'm not defending that. But they won't let him out unless he takes the medication. And it seems as though, because we've been dealing with this for 20 years, we've been trying to get help from here and there. He's been going to a few clinics here and there, but the only time they really addressed, the only way they really addressed it seriously, in my opinion, is once you go to jail. But jail is for prison reform, and you pay your cost, a crime you did, what have you. They're not a medical facility. And so he kind of caught up in this situation where the longer he stayed in there, to be in jail, to have to do what you have to do to survive in jail, the worse his condition gets, because he has paranoid schizophrenia, which is schizoaffective, which is a combination of paranoid schizophrenia and manic depression. So he has highs and lows, but he always paranoid about hearing voice and what have you. And so he caught up in this trap where he can't get out because they don't feel like he's competent enough. But I just wanted to run that by you. Yeah, in the state of Texas.
I am definitely. I just tried to Google it up. I didn't get into Google, but I'll go to some other sources. I really need to know that. That is interesting to say the least. But thanks for that information, Lloyd. Let's go to Al in Rochester. Al.
Good afternoon, Rev. Can you hear me?
I'm good. I do hear you, yes.
Okay. First off, I'd like to give my condolences to the family down in Louisiana, the family members.
Yes.
Down there. Just wanted to make two comments about mental health. First off, 1978, I don't know if you remember this incident. A gentleman professional baseball player for the California Angels. His name was Lyman Bostic.
Okay.
Does that ring a bell?
It does.
All right. So you know the story. He was out with his teammate and the teammate's girlfriend. They went to pick up another girlfriend. The girlfriend got in the back seat with Lyman. Apparently, the girlfriend's husband had been stalking her. He put two and two together, thought that Lyman and her was doing something, and shot and killed Lyman. But anyway, that's something that stuck with me for years. And the last thing I'd like to say is, we live in a spiritual world, and our souls are the devil's playground. Once Satan gets in your spirit, it doesn't take but a second for you to make a bad decision that you regret. Do you agree with that, Reverend?
I do.
Yeah. So I don't know about the psychological. I'm not a psychiatrist or anything, but I think people need prayer, more than anything else. So that's my comment for today.
No, I definitely agree that they need prayer, but I also think that we need to get services, and if we can spend money on things that we do not need to spend it on. Do you realize, Lloyd, that they're spending $2 billion with a B, $2 billion a day in Iran, and you've had these mass shootings here in America, and we're not at all even discussing increasing the budgets for mental health. The money is there. Taxpayers are spending the money. The money wasn't there. Where they getting the $2 billion from? So I think that we've got to do what we have to do to turn the priorities of this country around, and that's by putting some people in office that has the real interests of the people in mind. And I think that we have no choice. And Virginia encourages me that we can do that if we put our foot to the pedal and pedal to the metal and just drive with all we have. Let's go to, but thank you for your call, Al. Let's go to Dooley in Pensacola, Florida. Dooley.
Hey, Reverend Al.
Hey.
I've always enjoyed the show, so I try not to repeat what somebody else has already said. And so I just say I echo the sentiments that the brother talked about, the family in Louisiana, where that tragedy has happened. But we're in the place where life is very invaluable in people's minds, because we had the president was going to drop a nuclear bomb on Iran, and his mind was set when he talked about he's going to make them disappear at 8 o'clock, and they were going to be no more. He was going to bomb them into the Stone Age. He tried to actually do that, but the generals that had the war codes for the nuclear bomb, they wouldn't let him do it. Now, he probably going to fire them, but they saved 90 million people from being obliterated on that night when the president said that he was going to drop a bomb on them at 8 o'clock. So, but now we know if he's going to try to do something, it's going to be around 8 o'clock.
Well, we do know that he sells wolf tickets and he does other things. I think it is dangerous to have somebody that erratic in the White House, and we got to correct that. I thank you for your call. I see Dwight Smiley on our message board saying, rest in peace, David Scott. He was 80 years old. David Scott was a congressman from Georgia. I met him several times, a real gentleman. Wasn't a showboat. He did his work in Congress. And may he rest in peace and power. And my condolences to his family. And thank you, Dwight, for bringing that on our message board. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back. Keep it real.
It's been a long time coming, but I know.
1968, Dr. Martin King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of National Action Network to always, in the month he was killed, to let them know they killed the dreamer.
Because I have a dream today.
They can't kill the dreamer.
I had a thought this morning that I wanted to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors, but there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talents in my own unique way and let me do things on my own, because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones. And too many mentees want their mentors to put them on a pedestal. Oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors for me. If they got to open doors for you, it may mean that they knew you weren't ready to go through those doors. Their job is to prepare you. Your job is to develop your own skills, your own unique ways. And I don't care if it's my daughters, who both have come into their own, or anyone else. I'm not a talent agent. I did not form National Action Network to give people their step up. I formed it to fight for justice for everybody. If talented people get in, it's my job to invest and give them a platform. It's their job to get on the platform and perform and show their ability. Sitting with me today in the office as I talk about it is one of my mentees, Reverend Stephen Marshall. Now, Stephen, you just came around us when you were how old?
11 years old.
11 years old. You just turned 40 and now you're called to the ministry?
Yes, sir.
And what do you do in National Action Network?
I formulate policies, lead in various regions, but most importantly, I senior advisor to you on all things from social justice strategies, politics, intergovernmental affairs, you name it, community organizing, all of that stuff.
And I could go through scores of others. My daughter started Huddle. They got Huddles now, which is for young people to meet once a week all over the country. I just saw the video from the Las Vegas National Action Network chapter. Now, when you decided to preach, did I ever tell you to become a preacher?
Not one time.
Who called you to preach?
The Lord.
All right. And did I say go to this school or that school?
No, sir.
Did I open this door, that door? Did I tell you be ready when the doors open?
Always be ready and prepared.
And that's what I'm saying. Get you some young people than you that you can help along the way. But don't be their talent agent. Their talent must speak for themselves. And anybody that grumbles with you about so-and-so didn't do something for them, maybe it's because they didn't feel you were ready, or that they felt if they did it, you wouldn't do it on your own. But we all don't live forever. I want the next generation to speak of me, of National Action Network, and others, the way I speak of Reverend Jones and Bishop Washington and Shirley Chisholm and Reverend Jackson. But I just don't want young people to feel that somebody ought to give them the reins of leadership or give them the reins of business or whatever it is you're in. You need to learn from their journey, get the pearls of wisdom from them, but don't have them do for you, because then it means you can't do it for yourself.
We have a short visit today, so we just wanted to greet you all and thank you for allowing us in. Yes, sir. We was here.
They were on the plantation.
Our family was on the plantation. Wow. And that's, of course, that's the slave house. That's one of the slave houses.
Good to see you again, sir. It's been 13 years.
That's right.
Good to
How
see
you been?
Doing fine.
Right, last time. And we,
Alexander Sharpton. How many slaves were staying here?
I have no idea.
This is where they would have a slave.
Yeah, that's when exactly. That was exactly.
The two people that most influenced my life are from South Carolina, James and Jesse. Jesse right up the road with me. I went over his mother's funeral. Jesse walked me to my mother's kitchen.
Wow.
To South Carolina. That's the balance of my life, James and Jesse.
Yeah.
Civil rights, shoulders.
But also where your people from too.
Literally.
Yeah, right.
And when I knew Jesse was from James, I started president.
Yeah.
And James had died before I knew about him in South Carolina.
Oh, really?
Yeah. James died December 25th. He died Christmas Day, 06. And they came to do the story
February of '07. They came to me in January. His daughter swear that was his daddy had helped him push the information out.
Wow.
And I called Jesse and told him, do you know that my great-grandfather was a slave about 45, because Greenville right up to I-20. He said, I told you we was connected. That's why you gotta listen to me. But
Sharpton. You live, sir. Keeping it real, keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let's wake up Wednesday. And we woke up to a huge victory in Virginia. And we need to duplicate that all over the country. Don't forget, Saturday and Sunday, watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton. Live at 5 p.m. Eastern on MS Now. I'm going to have on the leaders in Virginia, talk about how they did it and what they recommend other states do. You don't want to miss it, Saturday and Sunday. And then, of course, we're going to deal with the voting rights issue elsewhere around the country. And the Supreme Court may be back before Friday, but whatever is back, we're going to deal with it on Saturday and Sunday on Politics Nation. I'll be live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MS Now. Also, you that are in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut vicinity, meet me at the Saturday Action Rally at Mother AME Zion Church, 137th and Lenox. It's a historic church. We meet there every Saturday from 9 to 11. I'll be there this Saturday. And, of course, we are in the process of moving to our new headquarters that National Action Network owns. You that are on the live stream can see the building. We put up the sign yesterday. They're doing some renovations inside. We'll be in there in a matter of weeks, 5 floors. With a theater, we can have our rallies and a lot of I want activities there every day, and I'm just happy that we are able to own a building in Miller Hollow. And as we put up a significant amount of money, paying the rest to a lender, and as God blessed us, we paying the lender less than we were paying the rent on 145th Street. So I'm just asking everybody to give what they can. I'm going to put up a plaque of those that helped us buy this building. But again, be there at the rally if you're in the area, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. On Saturday. And, of course, you that are not in the area, you can watch it live on Impact Television or nationalactionnetwork.net or YouTube/NAN. Let's go to Fly in Detroit, Michigan. Fly, you keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Good afternoon, Reverend Al.
Good afternoon.
Before I make my comment, if I may, I would like to extend a tremendous happy birthday to the Queen, Kathy Hughes.
Yes, yes.
My comment with this SPLC, I just want to, keep you up on your toes. Just know that for 35 years you've had a good thing going on, and just know that you got haters. Okay, just know this, and they'll be coming to a theater near you.
Yep.
Okay, and in closing, I know the haters might say something if I use a curse word, so I'll spell it out to you, Reverend Al. Stay WOKE. Okay? Just keep those I's dotted and those C's crossed. See, that right. W word, that's a curse to those other people.
Yep. Definitely right. You're definitely right. And
have a great day.
Thank you for your call. No, and believe me, they've been after me back and forth a long time. gonna let my guard down in terms of NAN. And believe me, it's not only me, as everybody in the movements better be very careful with these people. Because it doesn't make sense. I mean, when they can make cases out of something that doesn't even make sense, then there's nothing they won't do. Ray in Cincinnati, Ohio. Ray, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Yes, sir. Thanks for taking my call. We have two things. When it comes to Virginia's win, it was a 3-point win. And they got the majority. And Trump never thought that, in my opinion, Trump never thought that what he did in Texas, that was Virginia doing, that the Democrats had the balls to do the same thing. And they did. They did it in California. They're doing it in Virginia and others. And so I'm just surprised that the Democrats said this is in Virginia, this is a one-time thing, where the Republicans is like, they'll do it every time if it benefits them. So and I'm also surprised that the Congress, Trump didn't call it a war. That's why he didn't need Congress's approval. But if he has to bomb Iran, why don't he need the approval of Congress? Now that becomes a full-blown out war. That's what I don't understand. Can you enlighten me on that?
Can I enlighten you on why he has been able to do a full-scale war without Congress?
No, well, I think he didn't call it the war. That's why he didn't. From what I heard, right, that he didn't need Congress's approval. And so, but if he's talking about, he would have bombed, obliterated Iran. That's a full-blown out war. Why wouldn't Congress come out and say, yes or no? So he wouldn't need Congress's approval if he decides to bomb Iran, which I don't think he's going to do.
Well, I think the only way I can answer that is saying that obviously he's playing at best semantics, and at worst he's just playing with everybody. Clearly, they've engaged in warfare. Clearly, it should have gone through the Congress. I think Hakeem Jeffries and others have said that. And I think that if he goes to further bombing, I think that clearly that should be dealt with by the Congress. I think you are correct. He used the language so he would not have to go to Congress or look like he should have gone to Congress. But, a rose by any other name is the same as a rose. He is engaged in war. People have died.
Yeah, wouldn't you say that Iran, Trump has made it so Iran knows that they're in the catbird seat with the close of Hormuz. They had that weapon all along, but I don't think Iran knew how important it was now, because it can screw up the not having ships go through. It can screw up the United States economy. So do you think Iran's in the catbird seat, or are they just going back and forth? And at some point, Trump is going to give in.
I think that they're in the catbird seat for reasons that Trump and his supporters don't realize. And that is, these people are committed to their country, their faith, and they are being able to maintain their resources. And I think that I saw someone, I don't remember who it was, but I saw someone on one of the early cable shows this morning saying that he being Trump, underestimated the amount of pain that those people were willing to take to preserve their culture and their country. And because comparatively, United States citizens don't like to suffer at all, some people that come from centuries of suffrage, doesn't mean they like it, but they endure it. And I think that he had to do more than a bluff to make them blink, because they've been used to this throughout history. And I think that's his problem. He underestimated the endurance of those he was after. and he underestimated their really being committed. I'm not saying what they're committed to is right or wrong. I'm saying that they are committed. One of the things that I know is if you have a huckster going up against a true believer, the true believer going to win every time. It may take longer. It may extract some things out of him, but the true believer is going to succeed each time. Even if the huckster is not wrong, the fact that he's just a huckster, he ain't going to put up with so much suffering because he's a hustler. He's a huckster. He's trying to get over. He doesn't believe anything. And I think that that's the first problem you got here with this situation. But thank you for your call. Let me take my break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back. This organization has been on the front line. People ask me, why do families call us? Because we never leave them. No justice. No justice. What do we want? What do we want? What do we want? When do we want it? When do we want it? When do we want it?
The Southern Poverty Law Center.
Letting the joy unfold. I'm living my life like it's golden. 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 Golden. Living my life like it's 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 golden.
Calling it criminal. In Minnesota,
some of you forget where you come from and forget how you got there and act like you got there because you were qualified or that you had a good resume. But some of us had to pay a price for your resume to even be read. Some of us had to take nights in jails and licks upside the head or shut out of boardrooms like Byron so you could walk down red carpets and act like you got there by yourself. So I received this award with a special place in my heart and on my shelf because I'm getting it from a freedom fighter who never forgot where he came from and how he got there. Yes, we've come a long way. We've had now a black president and now a black vice president, but we still can get shot down and have to march to get a case in court. We still can get shut out of boardrooms. We're still doubly unemployed in a good economy. So we're going to have to keep marching. And I thank not only my family, a mother that raised me by herself, but I thank that lady at the end of the march that knows she won't be on TV that night and knows her name will never be in the paper, but she believed in me enough to get at the end of the line and make me look good. Because Dr. King used to say, if you call a march and no one shows up, you just going for a walk. And I want to thank those that marched with me. 32 years ago, here in Los Angeles, we marched. And then many years later, with George Floyd and others, we're still marching. And I'm going to keep marching. I'm going to keep agitating. And I'm going to keep going. Until we don't have to do it anymore. Eddie, known you a long time, Mariah, christen your kids. And I promise you this, the only thing that I really live for is I get up with this dream that every bigot, every racist, everyone in this country that hates will say, damn, he's up again.
Do you know what time it is? It's Al Sharpton time. It's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. You need to keep it real with Reverend Al Sharpton right here on Uber TV.
Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go back to the phone. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is. Every day, Monday through Friday, I do 3 hours a day on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. I do 1 hour on Sunday mornings with Reverend Al Sharpton. And I'm live on radio and TV with the Saturday Action Rally. 7 days a week, I talk to our people, hear from them, the call-in. I'm sick and tired of people talking for people that they don't talk to. So go on www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Listen to my show, call in, express your opinion. You don't have to agree with me. But let's start talking to each other rather than about each other and lecturing at each other. Let's keep it real with Sharpton.
Happy 20th anniversary to Reverend Al Sharpton on 20 years of Keeping It Real. 2 decades of truth-telling, fearless advocacy, and keeping the people informed and empowered. Thank you for always speaking power to justice and standing firm for what's right. Here's to 20 years of impact and many more to come.
I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. Just break. I believe that.
Good morning, everybody. I hope the coffee has kicked in by now. I want to start by thanking your leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton, and everyone at the National Action Network for 35 years of standing up for civil rights and opportunity for everyone.
And I couldn't be more grateful for the way that you have blessed the lives of so many, including mine.
As we look today on King Day, let us not forget that we had to struggle to even have this day. They did not wake up one morning and say, let's give a federal holiday to Martin Luther King. People petitioned, people marched. Let us remember now as we bring our children and grandchildren up the Potomac, that they can see the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, the Jefferson Memorial, and one memorial that never served as president, but changed this country more than any other American, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
This was an amazing MLK breakfast.
It is truly an honor, and more importantly, this is an important day for us.
I feel incredibly lucky and honored to be in this room on this day, celebrating Dr. King's legacy of civil rights, especially in the moment that we're facing on a national level. It feels like warmth and home being in this room.
So I'm encouraged by today. I'm encouraged that we're getting out, we're protesting, but more needs to be done. We need to lean in.
And let's keep fighting because the job is not done here. And I just feel so honored to get this award. It's not about getting an award, it's about doing the work. And let's keep up with the work.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. Let's go right back to the phone. Let's go to Tony in Washington, D.C. Tony. Is Tony there?
And I called to find out what has happened to your substitute host that you had in years past when you weren't able to do the show, Bob Slade and Andre Eglishan.
Bob Slade never did this show. Bob Slade did the local show in New York, I think, on Kiss Radio. He never hosted this show. Andre Eglishan did, and Andre Eglishan unfortunately passed around 3 years ago. And I think Bob Slade passed around the same time, but Bob Slade was with local Kiss Radio. Our senior producer, Fatim Muhammad, is the senior producer on this show and has succeeded Bob Slade on the local show in New York.
Yeah, well, I know. I had heard him several times as a substitute when you weren't on, and Andre, too.
Right.
Yeah, well, I would, so I paused that's why I'm pausing to remember them and their families.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
And in that light, in that spirit, let's remember Bob Law and his family. Bob Law just passed. And Bob Law, though he never, filled in for me on the show, he is the one that helped to really launch me, supported me since I was a teenager, but more important, what he done for our community. And we should never forget those that did us well. Thank you for your call. Let's also remember Joe Madison, the Black Eagle. So let's keep all of them in our minds. Let's go to Tommy in Chicago, Illinois. Tommy.
A pleasant afternoon to you, Reverend Sharpton, and especially all of those in the listening audience. And what a time to remember giants. The quintuplet that you just spoke of, those gentlemen. I mean, I don't understand how people can act so brand new to our reality. I don't care nothing about anybody else's reality, Rev. I just don't. And the reason why I don't is because you're talking about a displaced people who never did anything to anybody in this country except for be black. Now, all I'm simply saying at such a time is this, is I thank God for the military training that I did not ask for. And I'm asking all of those who have a ear to hear and a heart to receive. This is the moment in the time that we need insightful direction and instructions, and we've got to put a lid on Foods Incorporated, because anytime your own people have voted for this insanity twice, the hourglass is running out. November is upon us. The writing is on the wall with Virginia. I just don't understand how these people are running around here in America that look like yourself and myself acting brand new, especially with all of the information. Rev, all an individual has to do is take out their phone and go to the National Archives and look at the debacle of the Vietnam War. Look at how America first beamed destruction to people's television, and what was supposed to inform people inflamed people to the fact that they turned around and called the individuals who followed the law criminals. I mean, I don't understand it. We're in a moment in a time now where it's truth or lies. And reality is saying for us as black people, this is a moment in time to watch Doomsday Preppers, learn what to do out in the wilderness, learn how to stay warm without lighting a fire, learn to understand and recognize that, hey, Rev, I went past a couple of on-ramps in the city of Chicago, And there was not one or two or three. Rev, it was like 5. I stopped counting at 5, and these individuals was going out in the street asking people for money for them to get something to eat. This is that serious, and I leave with this one because this is the best one of all. You got a criminal organization dealing with a criminal organization, and you expect anything to make sense? I mean, how does one piece of river, lake, ocean, or whatever you want to call it determine the fate of the entire world? That's enough to turn a Negro black right there. I love you, Rev. God bless you. And one last thing I need to do, I got to make it to New York. I got to make it to the House of Justice. I got to touch those walls, and I will truly have lived my life cycle because I live in a city of greatness. I live in a country of greatness, but I'm sad to say that I am a part of individuals who are Fools Incorporated. I love you, Doc. Have a blessed day.
All right. Thank you for your call. As always, good to hear your voice. Let me go to Brother Jacob in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Hey, peace be unto you, Reverend Sharpton, and your worldwide audience. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Man, I'm blessed. You know, one of our most recent ancestors, God be with him, Ray Charles, he had a record that was saying, ain't that good news? Man, ain't that news? What happened in Virginia last night and what you just told us about Nan, you know, under your leadership, done purchased that building, man. That's good news. And that's what we need in this day and time. We need good news, stuff that's good, because we got enough bad coming from D.C. But what I called about, I hear Republicans complaining about what happened in Virginia right last night. Oh, they slamming it. And they must not be reminded that Trump is the one who started that gerrymandering stuff, right? He asked for it in Texas and this and that. So is he like Smokey the Bear? You remember the commercial Smokey the Bear said, only you can prevent forest fires. Is it only him that can do certain things and everybody else can't do it? He by himself, he alone, you know. I mean, even the prophets of God needed helpers, right, Rev?
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't know where these people are coming from, but boy, these midterms, Reverend Al, I'm doing all I could do to go to the young people that can vote and the ones that, you know, just have that apathy that, you know, this and that. Here in Philadelphia, man, we trying to get that party started, man, and you know, and wake them up to the power of the vote. So I pray that we're doing that all over this country, Reverend Al. And I know you're doing your part. So thank you and thank Nan.
All right. Thank you, as always, for your call. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. More of you on the phones. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
Reverend Sharpton, good to see you here tonight. By our count at WMUR, you've only been here once in 2003.
You counted wrong.
Okay.
You must be using the Florida Republicans count.
Nevertheless, as far as your visits are concerned, you have been here far less often than your colleagues here who have gone through the paces, met with the voters, done the grassroots style of campaigning that the voters of New Hampshire are expecting and looking for. Why shouldn't those very same voters not think of you as disrespecting them by not coming here and doing the same thing?
Well, I think, first of all, I've been here several times last year and this year. I intend to be here. In fact, I was to preach here Sunday, and the snow stopped me. I intend to be here between now and the primary. And I think that's any more than any of us. There are many places that some of my colleagues have not been to often at all. I think that people go and campaign based on their resources and their availability. So I think that that is not something that they should read into any of us about any particular primary. I also want to address your first question. As a minister, I think that you can have a personal motivation of religion, but you should not try to act like your religion is something that dictates where people ought to go. I pray every day. I can assure you in my talks with God, he is not a registered member of the right wing of the Republican Party.
Today, many of those same challenges still remain that Reverend Al Sharpton stood on the 2004 Democratic primary debate stage and spoke about, a clear reminder that the work is far from over. For over 35 years, the commitment to justice has remained strong. The fight continues, the voice is steady, and the mission moves forward.
Hi, it's Reverend Al Sharpton, President and founder of National Action Network. We are at the very end of 2025, and I want to first say that I want to thank all of the officers, chapter leaders, regional directors, national staff, and certainly National Board of National Action Network for a solid and absolutely incredible year in 2025. Despite the fact that we are under assault, voting rights, diversity, equity, and inclusion, the battles globally where we're seeing Nigeria and Venezuela attacked, and on and on and on. We have been steadfast as an activist organization in the tradition of Dr. King. We started the year with a national call that thousands responded to, and we were in Washington on our side of town while Trump was being inaugurated on the other side of town. And we made a pledge. We told people to lift their hand and make the pledge. And we kept that pledge to work all year to keep the dream alive. And that led into when Trump went after DEI. We supported some that were boycotting, and we started boycotting, something that had never happened. We said we're going to go buy from those that have committed to keep DEI, and went in several cities around Costco's and Sharpton. We've now bought stock in other companies. We're going to shareholder meeting and demand they continue DEI. We've had a sensational National Action Network convention covering the span of activity, from political empowerment to education, to how we deal with the black church, how we deal with black women development that has to deal with both discrimination based on gender and race. And of course, we came to Wall Street by the thousands and marched in late summer on the anniversary of the March on Washington. And people thought you could not get people out, and they came from all over the country. And we marched on Wall Street and had an enormous turnout. The only mass black march, black-led march this year. We had a lot of protests, a lot of marches. I salute all No Kings marches and all. But the black organization march, it welcomed everybody. We had white, black, everybody there. Was our march on Wall Street in August. And then our Triumph Award and on into our fall agenda of organizing, mobilizing. We've expanded. We've started chapters in about 12 new cities. So I am proud of what we've done this year, but it's only the beginning, because our very rights are under attack, and they're not even being quiet about it. They want to revoke the Voting Rights Act. Section 2 may fall with this bill. They want to end the Civil Rights Act of 64. That's what the end of DEI is about. So let us be more alert and active than ever. History will decide whether the civil rights gains of the 50s and 60s died in the 2020s. That's on your watch and mine. So if we've got to march, we have to protest, we have to lobby, we have to rally, whatever we need to do,
we need to put our shoulder to the wheel more than ever. I'm gonna lay out a plan on King Day, both in Harlem at our annual event and in Washington at our annual Martin Luther King Day breakfast that we do in D.C. We do two cities that day. And then, of course, all roads lead to New York to paper for our convention. We had, as I said, the largest attendance convention last year. In 2025, it needs to be more this year because our very existence is at stake. We also are closing our negotiations on a new headquarters, our national headquarters that befit our mission. I'm so excited about it, but I can't give you details. We're just about ready to sign the contract, but it will be something that will last longer than many of our lifetimes. So we came alive in 25. Despite
you alive. Keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, Wake Up Wednesday. I want to hear from some Virginia people tell me their experience voting and their experience talking to people in their community that gave us this, in my opinion, significant and great victory yesterday. Give me some Virginia people. Let me talk to Christian in Manhattan, New York. Christian.
Reverend Al?
Yeah.
Hi, this is Christine.
Christine, okay. They wrote it wrong. All right.
Uh-huh. First thing, please tell me more about the $500 after I get off the phone about putting the name on the building. I want to participate in that, and I have some people down in down south want to participate too. But I call because chaos. The man killed his babies. Mm-hmm. And it weighed so heavy on my heart and I thought about this thing, and nobody had said, they said the man killed his wife and girlfriend, and the babies were by his wife and girlfriend. And I think somebody yesterday said, Reverend Martin Luther King said, where do we go from here?
Yeah.
Chaos or community?
Yeah.
That's chaos. It's not community. It's chaos. And chaos, like I said, I grew up in North Carolina, and I saw chaos all my life. Men having babies in the same city, not by their wife, by their girlfriends, and it explodes after a while. Somebody is hurting, and I think we took prayer out of school. When I started, 1959, I started the school, and we had to pray every day, and it made you. And of course, I went to church too, and you had to pray, and my mother, we had to pray at home. But I had the fear of God in me, and so many other people. And I think now the children don't have the fear of God, and they are missing love. I just can't understand how a person can kill his babies like that. So it goes all the way back. He's only 31 years old with 7 babies, and he killed them. That's not normal. That's chaos. So I think the community needs to get together and start loving each other. And I appreciate you, Reverend Al.
I appreciate you, and you're absolutely right. We do need to get together. We do need to show love. We do need to show love even to those that may have mental health issues and get them help and fight for them to have help. In terms of the building, what I've said, I've asked for people around the country that support us to give $500, even if they do it in increments, because we're going to put up a bronze. We have a 5-story building with a theater in it and all of our rallies and other meetings, our youth huddle, our community events. I have some people going to do jazz night, poetry night. but we're going to put up bronze plaques naming the people that gave the initial monies, $500 or more. That would be there permanently. Since we own the building, I want people 100 years from now to know the people that gave money to help pay back the financing on the building. Thank God we had enough that we could put up the initial million and get, based on our credit, enough to get the other financing, so that we bought it outright. Other than now, we pay back the loaner. And we are already on time there, but we need people's support. And they may want to put their name on a building that's going to be historic, because we're not renting. It's ours. It'll be there long after I'm gone. Let's go to Janet in Baltimore, Maryland. Janet.
Good afternoon, Reverend Sharpton. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I have been trying to search for something that Reverend Jackson said when he was running for office about the stock market. And I know they came into him. He said something about it being like a gambling thing or a Monzi scheme. I'm not really sure what he called it, but it was more or less like it was a game of chance rather than all this calculation they try to say that goes into it. And right now, we know that it's an insider trading. Ain't no game of chance. These people know what Trump is going to do, and they put their money down according to what he's going to do right in front of their face. And I think the Democrats should figure out a way, and if they need help, I'll help them figure out a way to do a commercial and let people know you can have all the money you want in the stock market. It ain't going to buy you a loaf of bread.
Right. That's right. No, I don't remember the quote you're talking about, and I remember most of his quotes, but I do know he used to address that both when he was running for president and when he was had started the Wall Street Project here. I was part of that, and he talked about how they would gamble with the monies and the resources, and that's what the stock market would do. It would go up or down, rather than deal with solid stuff, something to that degree. And he also said that's why we wanted, and National Action Network has picked that up, wanted some of our blacks in the financial service industries that can take an investment and return a bigger return on the investment than the competitors that get the contracts. So, for example, you give person A, I don't want to call person's name because some of them have worked with Nan, and I'm not favoring anybody, but you get person A who's black, who could take a investment from a union or a pension fund from a private job and invest their money and return them with a high percentage return, higher than the ones they've been using for years outside the community. And Reverend Jackson began framing that, and we've picked that up for the last 12 years and been doing very well with it. Part of those that helped to finance our building was people that we helped to make sure that they had fair consideration in terms of expanding their business. We don't cut deals. I'm not a broker, but we open up opportunities, and they said we need to keep y'all solid. So that's a lot of the support we got. Thank you for your call. Let's go to Mike in the Bronx. Mike.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, I do.
Yes, sir. This is Mike from the Bronx. Reverend Sharpton. Well, you don't have a church, but Mr. Sharpton, this is the gentleman that was at your conference.
Wait a minute. You don't have to have a church to be a reverend. Let's start there. Reverends is not depending on church. Pastor is. Well, go ahead.
Yes, not here to listen to your babble. You just...
Okay, then let's go to the next caller. You called me. I didn't call you. Again, we can disagree without being disagreeable. I went to the caller. Now you're going to call. You're not listening to my babble, but you're going to call my show. Why don't we learn to respect each other? Why don't we have dialogue? Why do we have to be contentious? We're not each other's enemies. So I don't I don't feed into that kind of negativism because I think that one, I don't know the reason for it, and I don't think there is a reason for it. But I'm not going to have listeners subjected to just blatant disrespect because I'm not going to disrespect anybody. Anybody want to talk to me and want to agree or disagree? Fine, we ain't got to be disrespectful. You ain't a reverend because you ain't got a church. No, I have a national organization, as Reverend Jackson did. He didn't pastor the church. So, I mean, know what you're talking about. And then babble. I mean, come on. That ain't necessary. We grown folks, I hope. Let's go to Donald in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Donald. And if that guy wants to talk sensibly, he can call back. But, I mean, I'm not going to entertain foolishness. Donald in Milwaukee, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Yes, how you doing there, Reverend Al?
I'm doing fine.
Okay, I'm on this thing of anger.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's no rationality behind the emotion anger. We as human beings has emotions and love and anger. Love is a little stronger than anger. But once we're in that mentality of anger, to us, you know, there's no reason as far as trying to rationalize things with us because our only mental state is getting to the finish, which is getting what we start and finish. And there is no rationality behind it. And we have several methods that people tell you to breathe, you know, breathe in and out slowly. When you're in a state of anger, you don't think about things like that. What you're trying to do is finish what you start, and what you're doing is lashing out, you know. So once you do that, you know, you have consequences that you're not thinking at that time that you may suffer behind that. So this is what my reality of anger is, because I myself have went into that state of mind, but I didn't go as far as going all off into the deep end as this guy did with his family. You know, you can get to the state of mind where you can go overboard. That reaches into the state of mind of mental ability, and once you reach that, you know, you just gone.
Yeah, but I think that's part of where we had to deal with the mental health question in our community. And that is that all of us get angry. The question is, can we control our anger? And can we know how we can channel that anger another way? And I think you're right. I think any of us that act like we don't get angry is deceiving ourselves. The question is, those that can't control it, how we get them help, because all of us need to be able to not lose our control.
Right.
Thank you for your call. Let me go to my friend. All right, let me take my break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
London, yeah. We've got many problems there. We need you over our side. Yeah, you're invited anytime, please. Whenever you want to come.
There we go.
Guys! What's up, Doc?
So we are in not a political dilemma, we are in a moral dilemma. And if the black church does not come with a prophetic voice, then who's going to do it? We can go through all the data, all the statistics, all we're going through in the workshops, but the question is, where is the action going to be? We all believe in Jesus. Jesus didn't teach theology, he healed people. and they learned the nature of the theology based on his healing. We got to heal this nation. And if we heal this nation, the nation will return to our churches. But we've become silent and compromised. And we try to blame it on, I'm not in this. You are in this. You live it, your members live it. Unemployment now is higher now than it's been since the pandemic. Yet we survive. Yes, sir. There's no history in the world of any people that went through the kind of psychological, cultural, and physical slavery like blacks did in America. The only reason we're still here is because of our faith. We had no external strength, we had an internal strength. And it was the God that we were taught by our mamas and grandmamas that brought us through. And I don't care who's sitting in the White House, we cannot betray the God that brought us through.
"22 years ago, Reverend Al Sharpton stood on the 2004 Democratic primary debate stage, speaking truth to power and challenging the nation to do better. Today, many of those same issues remain, reminding us how much work is still ahead."
Reverend Sharpton, why are you in this race?
Well, let me say this. First of all, I do not think that it is fair to say that there are two Americas. There are many Americas. Our only problem in America is not just class. Many of us have problems that have succumbed to class barriers, but still have the race barriers, or the barriers of language if you're Latino, or the barriers of sexual discrimination if you are a woman or gay and lesbian. So I think it's very simplistic to just say that it's two Americas, one for the wealthy, one for the poor. Earl Graves was my campaign. Very wealthy man, but still faces discrimination. Gays and lesbians, they may make a lot of money, they still face discrimination. Latinos that have problems because of language discrimination. So I don't think that it's as simple as class. I also think if we're talking about experience, I was talking with Bishop Brookins, who's here with me tonight. I don't see anyone that supports civil rights could support the Patriot Act. That was you're talking about a difference of direction, Senator Edwards. The Patriot Act. The Patriot Act that you supported is J. Edgar Hoover's dream. It's John Ashcroft's dream. We have police misconduct problems in California, Ohio, Georgia, New York, right now. And your legislation helps police get more power. So I think that we've got to really be honest if we're talking about change. Change how and for who. That's why I'm in this race.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, "The two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born." I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you're very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
Racial discord, a blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I
a race
had to
baiter.
learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing and I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that call me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate King on the issue,
Reverend Al Sharpton will be taking your calls, 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Let's go to my friend in Virginia, Reverend Bonet. Reverend Bonet, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Reverend Sharpton, my brother, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Good to hear your voice.
As well. I hear yours every day. Believe that. But you was wondering how the election turned out and what was the atmosphere. I worked one of the polls here in Virginia as my little way of just contributing to the cause at hand in a little rural town, and the Republicans had their tent out. There was no Democrat tent nowhere in sight, and and whatnot. And the kids, were you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. And some of the kids were bringing the literature that the Republicans handed to them into the voting poll with their parents. And, you know, as little kids, you got to vote no, you got to vote no. So they were in the polling, you know, amongst all the voters saying, you must vote, you got to vote no, you got to vote no, which to some degree people thought it was cute. But again, it was also a little ploy that was being handed out and saying, hey, here's a little card, tell your parents to vote no. So it was interesting the way they were conducting themselves. It was calm and it was orderly, but yet that was another little ploy. But I was glad to see that in all their efforts, they failed at the polls.
Well, I think that is the bottom line. Enough of us showed up, and so you said they were in the actual polling site.
Well, they set up tents 100 feet away from the polling site as required. But as the community came up and parked, they were the first to greet them, and they were handing out some of the literature to the kids, knowing that the kids would carry it and you know, shout, no, vote no, because this is what they were telling them at the tents. And so the kids just followed, you know, that lead, and that's what they brought into the voting, into the polls. But as interesting and as cute as it wasn't beneficial.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, I think I feel good to know you've been there on the ground, because I know wherever you are, you're gonna do the work, whether it's a small town or big city. So I'm not surprised at that. And let me ask you something. Do you think that the turnout among other parts in Virginia is something that one will maintain itself in November, or when it's time to vote again, the momentum will continue, and second, can be duplicated in other states that now watch and see that they can turn stuff around?
Well, one, I do believe that they will be there in November. They are hurting by virtue of a lot of the policies, if you want to call it that is going forth. As I've watched this particular administration, there's only been one bill that has been passed by the House and Congress, to my knowledge, during this administration, should I say, and that was that beautiful bill, as they call it. That was the only thing that was passed. Everything else has been by executive order.
Right.
But what has happened is that it has hurt that voting base. Now, they still got some staunch voting members from the MAGA party that is going to go down with them no matter what, even though they are hurting with the gas prices, the higher food prices, the higher rental prices, all of these different economics that are personally affecting them. They're still riding with them. They're ride or die. So for whatever reason, they're still on board with them. They were out in numbers. They had their little tents out there. They were wearing their colors. They got their flags and the whole nine. They had the whole. I mean, there was not a Democratic opposition to them out there at the polls that I was at. Now, I wasn't at all the polls in Virginia. I don't want nobody to believe I was all over Virginia. I was only at one poll.
Right.
But at this one poll, there was no Democratic presentation of any type. None. And so, but that is just the nature of rural Virginia and Virginia at large. But I believe that they will be there in November. But to your second question, they're going to stay the course. They're not going to jump ship. In spite of what they are experiencing, they're going to stay the course.
Why do you think that is?
Loyalty. In fact, let me call it just blind loyalty. Blind loyalty. I talked with a couple of people, and I said, let's not even look at the whole big picture, because we'll be here all day doing that. Let's just take the one statement that came out of his mouth. He said he was entitled. Now, tell me one person that you know that is entitled to anything that they didn't work for. that statement in itself is a deal killer. But to them, that is a deal non-starter. They don't even care the fact that he believes he's entitled to things that he puts out, and they fall straight through it. So it's just a blind loyalty as far as I can see. There's no other reason, because he is hurting them economically, if he's hurting other sectors of the country, but they are in line with him, loyalty to that party. That's just the bottom line. There's no other way to explain it.
Yeah, Frederick McLeod says on the on our message board, says the Reverend called it right. The flyers that were passed out were confusing. Where he was, they used kids, and that is absolutely right. Jesse Johnson says, Reverend Al Sharpton, keep it real, because the billionaires I want to pay nothing now. It's time for them to pay something. Mike Johnson. Okay, and they will have to pay if the right results come out after the party.
Absolutely. And they are they're still staunch on the ground. You know, they are here today saying that it was an election that now we have to take to the Supreme Court because the election didn't prove favor to what they were hoping for. So now here it is that the Supreme Court is going to have to hand down a decision, and it's going to be interesting to see their decision when they didn't go against the redistricting in other states such as Texas. So it's going to be hard for them to sit there and say this is a Supreme Court that is non-biased based on whatever decision they render.
All right.
So it's going to be interesting to see what they deliver. But to the folks in Virginia, I'm still looking for any of them that is interested in supporting this chapter work. I'm still here with boots on the ground. So if you're in Virginia, believe me, let's get together so we can go ahead and put together the chapter here in Virginia.
All right, please. Thank you for your call. And we definitely need that, more boots on the ground in Virginia to keep this going. Absolutely.
Well, if they call in, please send them my way. I'm here, and again, I don't know the layout of Virginia on a wide scale, but we need their support and their knowledge of lay of the land here.
Absolutely. And Reverend Benet was very crucial in our chapter in Georgia before he relocated. So he knows what to do. So you can call in and I can get those messages to him, or you can give it to the one that handles our phones, and we will certainly get that over.
Please do.
Thank you for your call. I think that it is absolutely it's very important that as much as we analyze, scrutinize when things go wrong, when you have something like Virginia happen, we need to stop and say that's a victory. Now, how do we duplicate it? And as I said earlier in the show, we should not develop a loser's complex that we just going to take a loss and no matter what, we just going to make it a loss, even if it's a victory. Yesterday was a victory. It was not an all-consuming victory. It was not a victory that's going to change the world, but it is a victory in one. It will open the possibility to having some new districts voted on that represents people. And two, it went up against big money and won. So all of the things that we want to deal with, if they can get 3 or 4 more members of Congress, and those 3 or 4 votes gets us closer to renewing the Affordable Care Act, protecting Social Security, dealing with H.R. 40, reparations. All of that comes with building numbers. And I think that some of us don't try to build numbers because some of us try to just rant and rave. Like somebody care about our ranting and raving. We are not going to sell wolf tickets to make progress. We're going to have to organize and move forward and do it intergenerational, whether we like it or not, whether we like each other or not, we're going to have to bond to get things done, and it's going to take numbers. Political strength is based on addition, not subtraction. And they're going to try to use all kind of tactics to divide us or get us on side issues. And how do we know they did it last time? Trump did it last time. I remember when he ran in 2016, he had 3 or 4 main preachers that would just tour the country and called me names and anybody that was against him names in the black community. And some of you remember them. We haven't heard from them since he won. I think he had them once at a prayer meeting in his first term. We ain't heard from him since. Ain't heard from him at all this term. Omarosa was a spokesperson for him. We let her speak at our convention. 3 months later, she was fired and came on my television show talking about how Trump was bigoted and that he was behind a lot of people attacking. Don't get confused. A lot of people attacking us are not disagreeing. They've been assigned. Some disagree, and that's fine. You can talk to people that disagree, but when you got people that just want to holler and scream and I don't want to talk about it, well, why not? And are you really trying to advance our people, or is it another agenda? So be ready for dirty tricks from that Trump camp, because they're desperate. And we got ways we handle desperation. Don't worry. Just because we are nonviolent don't mean we're stupid. We got ways of handling and protecting ourselves and our situations. But I would rather us focus all that energy on doing the positive stuff and pushing our community forward and having constructive dialogue that gets us some things done. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
We have a short visit, so we just wanted to greet you all and thank you for allowing us in. Yes, sir. We want to go. Yeah, we was here.
They were on the plantation.
Our family was on the plantation. Wow. And that's, of course, that's the slave house. It was one of the slave houses.
Sir, it's been 13 years.
That's right.
Good to
How
see
you been?
Doing fine. Good.
Right, last time. And we,
Alexander Sharpton. How many slaves were staying there?
I have no idea.
This is where they would have a slave.
Yeah, that's when exactly. That was exactly.
The two people that most influenced my life were from South Carolina, James and Jesse. Jesse right up the road with me. I went over his mother's funeral. Jesse walked me to my mother's casket. To South Carolina. That's the balance of my life, James.
Yeah.
Civil rights, shoulders.
But also where your people from too.
Literally.
Yeah, right.
And where I knew Jesse was from James. I started president.
Yeah.
And James had died before I knew about him in South Carolina.
Oh, really?
Yeah. James died December 25th. He died Christmas Day, 06. And they came to do the story for February of 07. They came in January. His daughter swear that was his daddy and him pushing the information out.
Wow.
And I called Jesse and told me, you know that my great grandfather was a slave about 45, because Greenville right up to I-20. He said, I told you we was connected. That's why you gotta listen to me. But no.
Many people cannot focus because they have not really come to terms with their calling and life purpose. In order to focus, you must also be clear on what you're focusing on. So if you're not clear on your purpose, if you're not clear on your life's calling, then focus on seeking that. Because if you just read the ways and roads you traveled that you didn't even choose, that were sort of just laid out for you by God, in that it's telling you, speaking to you about what your purpose is and what you were born to do and be. I learned the things that I didn't plan had to be planned by God, and God's plan was directed toward God's purpose in my life. And I focus on that. Not focus on what others do, not focus on how well they're doing or bad they're doing, but focus on whether I'm in line and aligned with what I'm supposed to be about. And in order to move straight ahead, you have to be focused on the path you're running on.
I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. Just break. I believe that.
Good morning, everybody. I hope the coffee has kicked in by now. I want to start by thanking your leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton, and everyone at the National Action Network for 35 years of standing up for civil rights and opportunity for everyone.
And I couldn't be more grateful for the way that you have blessed the lives of so many, including
including mine.
As we look today on King Day, let us not forget that we had to struggle to even have this day. They did not wake up one morning and say, let's give a federal holiday to Martin Luther King. People petitioned, people marched. Let us remember now, as we bring our children and grandchildren up the Potomac, that they can see the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, the Jefferson Memorial, and one memorial that never served as president, but changed this country more than any other American, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
This was an amazing MLK breakfast.
It is truly an honor, and more importantly, this is an important day for us.
I feel incredibly lucky and honored to be in this room on this day, celebrating Dr. King's legacy of civil rights, especially in the moment that we're facing on a national level. It feels like warmth and home being in this room.
So I'm encouraged by today. I'm encouraged that we're getting out, we're protesting, but more needs to be done. We need to lean in.
And let's keep fighting, because the job is not done here. And I just feel so honored to get this award. It's not about getting an award, it's about doing the work. And let's keep up with the work.
This organization has been on the front line. People ask me, why do families call us? Because we never leave them. No justice! No justice! What do we Keeping want? It real! Keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. And I see that forensic accountant posted on our message board. The first one, she said, did we see, I'm trying to get to the first post because then the one we got up is the second. All right. You see, Tucker Carlson is apologizing for supporting Trump and convincing others to do so, Forensic Isaac counts. And then she says in the second, the rats are fleeing a sinking ship. You know, I think the fact that Tucker Carlson, who was a major influencer on the right, one of the biggest shows on Fox TV, went on his own independent live stream, millions of people listen to him. The fact that he's flipping and Megyn Kelly is significant. The fact that you and I may not regard and respect their opinions doesn't mean a lot of the people that supported Trump listen to them. And anything that weakens your opposition, it helps you. You got to know how to, you know, it's like in martial arts, you got to know how to use the weight of the opposition against them. And we should do some political martial arts here. I think that it is very interesting that Tucker Carlson came out so publicly and did that. Let's go back to the phone. Let's go to Janet in Baltimore, Maryland. Janet.
He's not there.
Janet's not there?
Janet's not there.
All right, let's go to Raj in Cleveland, Ohio. Raj.
Hey, how you doing, Rev? Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you for calling.
You know, real quick, you know, somebody had spoke on the other day, what's her name, Abigail Spanberger. She ended the tax exempt status for the Daughters of the Confederate and any of those kind of organizations that's related to that organization.
Right.
And then, so also, I saw that report, and the same day that I saw that report, I saw where Mandami, Zohran Mandami, he ended the tax exempt status. Well, he's going to tax which is a tax, ending the tax exempt status for the wealthy developers that's coming in from outside of New York City and hoarding these condominiums and these properties that's non-residential, you know, claims in terms of in the form of investments, but yet they're leaving them unoccupied, and so he's saying, look, if they're valued at over $5 million, he's going to tax them. So that at the end of the year they could raise $500 million for New York City, like public services and public safety services and daycare and things of that sort that help the city out.
Yeah,
and
they use it like as secondary homes, but they really lease it out. There's all kind of tricks that he's saying they play, and I think given where they are in a deficit budget, he is correct to do that. I think the estimate I saw was it would bring $500 million into the city budget.
Yep. And then I want to touch yesterday about the mental health. I think part of it is mental health, and the other part is just a lot of people thinking that they're larger than the community. They go so long, you even see it with younger or older. They go so long thinking that they're larger than the community, and then they get wrapped up in their ego, and they get into this thing where nobody can tell me what to do, kind of thing. And I know that happens in all races. Like some of it's just mental health, some of it's just selfishness. Even with the wealthy, you see, like in other communities, they'll have apparently seemingly everything, and then they'll just like maybe lose something, a job or some adverse situation in their personal life, or lose a spouse, and they have all kind of money, and they'll just hurt. They always, the common denominator I see mostly is that I don't like is they hurt other people, other vulnerable people. So that tells me, yeah, some of it may be mental health, but they don't. To me, you don't get a pass for hurting people that's vulnerable to you. It's like I'm doing it because I got nobody else to hurt, so I'm gonna hurt you and get attention that way. It's like
that in and of itself is sick, because if you're only going to hurt those that you know are vulnerable, then you are ill because you want to take advantage of people that are vulnerable. And you also one that, as I would say, straight out of punk. You ain't going up against somebody that you know can take you on. And I think that we need to really deal with the punk part. We just need to stand up to. I mean, I'm not violent, but I ain't going to be punked by nobody. But on the mental health side, we need to provide care and deal with that. And people that see in their family, in their homes, in their jobs, people with mental health issues, you need to see that they get help. You need to tell them. You need to tell people that have a problem, you got a problem. If you care about them, if you got concern about them, if you love them, you need to tell them, not wait for them to snap, you got a problem, and make them seek help or help them get help. But don't just leave it floundering, because if you do, it can explode. I'm sure that the case in Shreveport, Louisiana, and the former Lieutenant Governor of Virginia, their families never thought they'd snap like that. But they did. So when you see signs like that, you need to really put on the red button and deal with it. I really think that it is absolutely correct to do. I think it's correct to do. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you're very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
Racial discord, a blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I
a race
had to
baiter.
learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing. And I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that call me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age, he was about 12, wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend, or Earl the Pearl, or Clyde Frazier. Al wanted to be like Adam Powell, a powerful preacher with a social justice gospel. He was very close to, at that time, the Reverend William Augustus Jones, powerful preacher and social justice advocate, and Reverend Gardner Taylor stayed right down the street, and Bishop Washington, whose church he came from, and Reverend Sandy Ray. He wanted to be like these giant preachers. He wanted them to have the edge, however, of the King's social justice dimension. He wanted to be like them, now he's one of them. Perhaps taller than most of them because of the risks he has taken and the reward God has given him with his gift. I remember so well that I first escorted him to jail. He was around 13 years old with the jail fighting the ANP. He was in the lineage of our struggle. He grew up in it. He didn't just We didn't just see him on TV one night. He didn't happen. He came bottom up, not top down.
I remember I was 12 years old. I was a boy preacher in the Church of God in Christ. Bishop Shear knew my bishop, Bishop Washington. Bishop Washington, my mother was concerned I was getting into politics. They brought us to Reverend William Jones. His daughter's traveling with us. And Reverend Jones introduced me to Jesse Jackson. I became his youth director in New York at 13. I liked Reverend Jackson because he was a little hipper than the older preachers. He was 27, I was 13 by the time I became youth director. So he was like a father figure to me. When I got about 40, he said, quit calling me father, call me big brother. We went to the car center, and James Meeks and Jesse Jr. and I had dinner with him that night. And that's where he said to us, Al, Meeks, Jesse Jr., y'all are my disciples. And we said, disciples? And for years we joked each other. I'd come in the room and Junior said, here's disciple number 1. But discipleship meant you carried forth the vision. The next day, he took me on the ferry to Goree Island, Mrs. Jackson. On Goree Island, he showed me where the slave camps were. And I will never forget, he said, Al, you see what that artifact is? I said, what's that? He said, they call it the door of no return. When you go through that door, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Don't forget, watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time every Saturday and Sunday. I'm already booking some of our guests. We need to deal with, I think, in a all bulletins way, with what is going on with voting rights, particularly since we scored a victory in Virginia. We'll have some of the leaders from Virginia on how that can be duplicated around the country. We're going to talk about the Affordable Care Act being reinstituted since it has not been renewed. And of course, we have to deal with what's going on in Iran. Make sure you watch both Saturday and Sunday. You in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area, meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Rally at the House of Justice, a gathering. And soon the House of Justice will be in its permanent headquarters in Harlem. But we're meeting at the historic Mother AME Zion Church, which is at West 137th Street and Lenox Avenue, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And I'll be there Saturday. And you can watch it live on Impact Television, as well as NationalActionNetwork.net, as well as you can watch it on YouTube/NAN. All right, let's see if we can get a couple more callers in before I have to go. Let's go to Deshaun in Washington, D.C. Deshaun. I don't hear Deshaun. All right, let me go to Woody in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Woody.
Hey, Rev.
Hey.
I'm so happy, man, to hear, and I'm going to put a check together for you because that building you got there is unbelievable. One of my customers showed me online, because I told you I'm not on all the technical stuff, and I'm still back in the day because my barbershop's more like a museum here, and I try to share with kids from whence we've come. Make a long story short, I saw the building, and it's a firehouse. And the deep part about that, Rev, the firehouse and the firemen were not allowed to sleep overnight. do you have any of that history? Because I think that the Harlem House, I think, was connected with the Dutch at that time.
Oh, yeah, we have all the history. Yes, yes.
That's what I really want to see that brought out, because I think you being in the whole issue of civil rights, Dr. King, everybody that had to do with it, we go right back to that issue of the illusion of race being plural, not singular. You see, once you keep breaking race into that format, then everybody's going to be prejudiced about the other person because they think, hey, look, you're from another race. That's why I say that race test that we got on our website is important. People need to use it as a tool, and that's the way we let peace be still. You can battle with peace because peace is a weapon.
Right.
We just don't know how to use it. That's all we push here constantly in the shop is peace. Let it be still so you can use it as a weapon. The weapon of peace. The weapon of peace. It works. But a lot of people don't think that. But I love what you said when the other guy, you said, look, I ain't going to be punked out now.
Yeah, well,
you remind me of one of my corner boys. I love that, right?
Yeah, no, well, I mean, you know, my thing is we have our security team and all that, but I'm not, you know, I believe people have the right to disagree and express themselves. But you don't have to belittle or try to belittle somebody to make your point, because then I got to check you, because I'm not that guy. And I'll let you say whatever you need to say. I'll respond and say what I got to say. Maybe we agree, maybe we disagree. But I'm not going to call you no names, and I'm not going to disrespect your positions. I mean, I've been preaching since I was 4 years old, all over the world, ordained preaching. Somebody going to tell me whether I'm a reverend? We ain't gonna. That's like me questioning whether you're a man. Let's start by having some respect.
Yes, sir.
And say, I agree with you, I disagree with you. Fine. But I'm not, and see, that's exactly the way Trump goes. He's gonna make you feel like you're going against the will of God to question him in Iran. Notice now how they all play that game of you're irreverent, you're not in the will of God. No, that ain't got nothing to do with you have no religious belief, Mr. Trump, and. People that come for disruptive reasons expose themselves. And I just don't play that. I don't play it on the air. I don't play that at my rallies. I don't play that. You can have all the respectful disagreement you want, because we're not each other's enemies. Or are we? Maybe you work for the enemy. Maybe you don't. But maybe you don't. But
Trump's a bully, Rev. Trump's a bully.
Yeah.
That's how bullies are. Most of them are punks, excuse the expression, but they're trying to scare everybody.
Yep.
You see, because they really don't want to fight.
Right. Exactly right. Exactly.
So, Rev, thank you for everything you're doing. I'm going to have to send you a check for that building because it's beautiful what you're doing. I love it. My concept here at the barbershop is barbershop talk, working on the head and in the head. That's what we do here, changing the mindset so kids can know peace is a weapon. Let's use it.
That's right. I love it. Thank you for your call. Let's go to Still Bill in Cincinnati, Ohio, the Buzz. Still Bill.
Hey. Hello.
Hello there.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, you're on the air, yes.
Hey, this is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice, be glad in it. I almost
wait a minute, you got to talk in the phone. We can't understand what you're saying.
I'm having trouble with my phone.
Okay, I heard you that time.
Okay. I'm having trouble with my phone. I almost fell asleep, so forgive me. I thought you putting a caller in his place, disrespecting you, addressing you as pastor.
Yeah, well, let's not waste a lot of time on disrespecting the call. That's what they want, their attention. Let's talk about something else. I don't even pay that no mind. We got our forces in place ready for all of that. I've been in this a long time. I know how to deal with things like that. Go ahead. Go to your next point. I'm not going to burn up airtime on foolishness.
Okay, so anyway, it was the same with Trump, as usual. He's stirring the pot, and, it's the same where he made it clear that, for us not to fall for the oath belt, fall for any of his tricks and anything. I have watched Politics Nation and everything this past week, and I was very intrigued. So, hey, I just wanted to send off Dominique, Bill, and I will keep it real. Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, thank you for your call, and let me say this: I think that when you see a breakthrough, and whether it is in your personal life, your business life, or in the community, I think that you should not step on the breakthrough, but illuminate it. I think you should, in many ways, put a light on it, because it not only gives you strength, but it gives strength to others that are like-minded to you, that we're not fighting for nothing, and that victories is not beyond our reach. I think that it is something that we need to really highlight, and this Virginia victory falls in that category. Jesse Johnson said, Reverend Al Sharpton, keep it real. I know the man stabbed you. What happened to him? Apologize to you. Well, it was a white man stabbed me in 1991, January 12th. I remember we were leading a march in Bensonhurst. And why were we in Bensonhurst? It was an all-white community that they had killed a young 16-year-old man named Yusef Hawkins. In fact, they have a documentary on it on Showtime. It's still there, called Storm Over Brooklyn. And they kept calling us the N-word. We come out there to march saying, give up the killers, give up the killers. We wanted to keep it in the public eye until the killers were given up, because they just killed this boy in cold blood just because they didn't allow blacks in the neighborhood, and he got off on the wrong stop on the train headed to Coney Island. And on the 29th week, to show you, we kept going every week. I've always been like that. Keep it up, keep going. And he was in the what they call frozen zone, where only the police and then our buses would come, the demonstrators would come, and the police would have corridors that would come down the block, because the crowds outside was throwing bananas at us, calls the N-word. Somehow this guy got in the safety zone, and he had on the color of the day for the underground police. So he either knew somebody or however. And he ran through the crowd when I got out the car, because we'd parked the cars and the buses there in the schoolyard, and stuck a knife in my chest. And they rushed me to the hospital. Luckily, it didn't hit an artery. It was close to the heart area, but didn't. So I had to stay 4 or 5 days and learn how, because they had to cut into me, a little surgery, had to learn how to walk again and all that. And Mayor Dinkins was mayor then. He came, Reverend Jackson flew in. And when I got out, they had caught the guy in the court in the back of the school, arrested him. And I told them, don't blame him. That's what y'all told him. People like me ought to be dead. And I'm, as a Christian minister, I forgive him for his sin. He's got to be held accountable, but I don't hold no animosity to him. And I went to his trial and said that to the judge. The judge said, that's honorable of you to forgive him, Reverend, but he's going to jail. He did 9 years in jail. I visited him in jail. And he did apologize to me when I visited him. And he looked at me in the eyes and he said, I don't understand how you was gracious enough to forgive me. I said, I forgive you as an individual. Society is who needs to be held accountable. That told you in your mind that I'm less than human and I deserve to die. He said, but I tried to kill your children's father. This guy very few people have looked in the eyes of somebody tried to kill them. I did. And I did it, I said to him, I did not do this for you. I did it for me, because I wanted to know that I live up to what I preach, and I live up to the standards that I have asked others to do. So I had to do that. I couldn't carry you with me and be all that I could be. So whether one agrees with my faith or not, I know what I believe, because I looked at a guy that wanted to take me off the planet and held no malice. That's why I can stand for justice and don't care what they do. They've tried to kill me. They've tried to put me in prison for a long time. Ain't nothing else you can do to me. So hollering and screaming at me means absolutely nothing. When you tasted your own blood, it gives you a different kind of strength. All right, I hear the music, have to go. Let me thank all of you that called in. You that called in and listened in. You that called in and couldn't get through, but hung in there anyhow. Remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody, tell anybody, tell everybody. Reverend Al told you personally, keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real. I'll talk to you tomorrow.